Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. I am sitting in Woodinville, Washington, the pristine Pacific Northwest, USA. My name is Karl Weaver. My Chinese name is Wei Kaer because I'm a bilingual Mandarin speaking dude. And I work for a company called IoT IO. And IoT IO is a stealthy software embedded security company for the IoT and blockchain worlds. And today's presentation I will give to you about our BoAT technology. BoAT actually means the blockchain of AI things. So BoAT, well, Karl, what kind of boat do you actually mean? Is it a speedboat? Is it a motorboat? Is it a traditional manual sailboat? It is none of those things. It's a unique SDK. What we mean by SDK is software development kit. It's an SDK middleware framework solution that's embedded into cellular IoT modules to allow those modules to take the data from the source, from the edge, to pass it through with our technology to apps and services to directly run on blockchain platforms, both public and private platforms. So that is what our BoAT SDK middleware framework does. And so, as you can see, my company sits at the crossroads. It's kind of like Robert Johnson and his blues of the 1920s. We sit at the crossroads between IoT and blockchain, and we're actually doing the integration of IoT and blockchain. So for us, mobile network operators, cloud service providers, and any kind of IoT device vendor are who we love to talk to because every single device needs a cellular IoT module. So again, my name is Karl Weaver. I work for IoT IO. That's how you pronounce it. Today's presentation is called Blockchain IoT Modules, Navigate and Power the BoAT. So now we know what a BoAT is. Let me go on. Let me move forward. So how can blockchain, I'm going to minimize my screen here so that I can see everything. All right. How can IoT blockchain capabilities be empowered in a fragmented IoT device world? Well, it's pretty fragmented. It really is. And when you think about IoT devices, we want you to think of the module itself, which is the physical hardware, which is embedded into all these IoT devices. Now, machines, robots, connected cars, pretty much everything except a consumer device, whether it be a smartphone, a tablet, or a smart TV, all these other devices will not use a mobile apps processor chip from, let's say, Qualcomm or NVIDIA, et cetera, et cetera. No, it will use a cellular IoT module because machines are not humans. Humans use smartphones. There's a smartphone right there. It's on mute, I assure you. So your smartphone uses a mobile apps processor chip to communicate typically with another human, sometimes with a machine, right? But it's usually a human. Now, cellular IoT modules are not humans. They are machines, and they communicate with other machines and other points that they need to communicate with to either push data from one place to another. So it really is a difference between the consumer electronic world and what we call more of the industrial IoT world. Now, it's fragmented. And in 2019, there were about 300 million of these IoT devices pushed out into the market. As of 2021, I don't have exact figures. I'm thinking at least 400 million of these devices, and it continuously grows. However, quite honestly, there are really only about 15 of these module vendors in the world that have scaled in dominance and prominence. Sierra Wireless, Telit, Ublox, and Gemalto's Thales Gemalto line. I'm ex-Gemalto, so, as is my CEO of the company. But basically, there are about four or five foreign companies, and the rest are Chinese companies. And we're working with 9 of those Chinese vendors. So of the top 10 in the world today, 70% of these are now coming from China. And it's kind of like the smartphone business from 2004, where I gave the first public speaking presentation on smartphones in London, as a matter of fact, for IBC. What we see is Chinese companies dominating now the cellular IoT module market. So it's fragmented. There's still Western players. There's Chinese players. And for the top 10, 90% of these IoT makers pretty much are coming from basically the top 10 of these vendors are supporting the mass segment of the market, and they're selling into projects, they're selling into mobile network operators, they're collaborating with cloud service providers. So it's fragmented, but you have to look at an IoT device as kind of a machine which has its own cell phone. So the machine doesn't have a cell phone, it has an IoT module, and the machine can use the IoT module in the device to communicate with another machine using connectivity, 4G, 5G. That's basically what we're talking about when we talk about the fragmented market here. It's fragmented, but it's still growing. Let me move forward. Okay. So what is this blockchain IoT module? Well, this is our creativity. We call our BoAT a blockchain IoT module because IoT modules have been around in the market for about 20 plus years. What we're doing is we're taking the traditional cellular IoT module and we're adding data on blockchain via hash key into smart contracts. So you see smart contracts is another another key attribute of our BoAT, and then also so many different use cases that can be used when you're integrating IoT with blockchain. But there are other things that we bring to this table or this ecosystem. One is IoT device ID management. When you have a device in the physical world, you want to bring it over to the digital world, right? So that would create sort of a digital twin, but you have to give it an identity. You have to give it an identity before you can create a digital twin in the digital world. So that's what we do with every single piece of data that we first are authenticating and then actually eventually monetizing. So when you can take a thing and when you can create an identity for that thing, you eventually are able to monetize it. The other thing that we're doing is IoT device sign data on the blockchain. So this is ability to use hash keys, using hash keys. As you know, the blockchain uses hash keys. So the ability to take the hash key and bring it into using a smart contract into the blockchain platform, and then you can attest the credibility and the integrity of the data once it passes through the cloud and into an IoT server. You can go back and compare the original data and then the data right now. You can actually go and compare when the original data was sent through and currently. And if there's a change of state, if there's a change of information, you know that that data may have been corrupted. So it's very, very important to be able to constantly determine that the integrity of the data coming from the edge. That's kind of what we're doing as well. It's very, very cool. But this is what our BoAT does, those two things: IoT device management and the ability to sign the hash on the blockchain. Now, blockchain IoT modules are embedded with BoAT SDK. As I mentioned, BoAT, blockchain of AI things. It's our SDK middleware framework. And it's actually also a wallet, believe it or not, because in the future, you can start to see that now. In the future, these devices, robots, machines, your connected car will be making payments, and they'll be doing that automatically. Fleet management is starting to do that right now with connected cars and autonomous vehicles. That is all starting. The actual device itself has the ability to make payments. Now, you as the individual, you're a physical thing, so therefore you can enter the digital world one of two ways, really. You have a smartphone. Your smartphone has an identity. That identity is linked to your personal self-sovereign identity. And then from that, you can link your self-sovereign identity through the smartphone onto the device. And we actually do that linking with our technology as well. So that's actually very important for the future for these autonomous vehicles. When you get into an autonomous vehicle, you will be taking your smartphone and probably from your smartphone using NFC technology, you'll be tapping. If you go into a vehicle out on the street, you'll be tapping the NFC function of your smartphone, which has your mobile payment, and then you will actually be making a payment for an autonomous vehicle. So your physical smartphone will now become a digital twin, and that will connect with the vehicle ID. Every single vehicle has an ID, and then you'll be meshing it. Our technology allows for the meshing of that. We've done a few different projects on that as well. It's very, very interesting what's going on in Shanghai, China. It's one of the key capitals for the auto industry. Anyway, getting back to BoAT for blockchain plus IoT solutions. BoAT for blockchain plus IoT solutions is a secure and flexible solution that integrates ITOS's BoAT technology, Internet of Things, and actually it's a wallet. So it's a wallet framework for enterprise blockchains. Now notice I mentioned enterprise blockchains. We believe that private enterprise consortium blockchains will be very, very big in the world, but also there are public blockchains which will be of significant importance. Our technology works on public and private blockchains. Now this BoAT wallet SDK, it's a blockchain application, and this it uses trusted identity management. Okay, so it's a framework and not just an SDK. It's actually a middleware framework. So it has a management component for the data at the edge of collection out in the field or in a factory. So this BoAT wallet utilizes blockchain technology on devices to build a mechanism which the device can generate a unique trusted identity, as I mentioned before, for the ID for the device. And with that identity, the data can produce a signature for an exchange of value. And that's where I talk about the hash key is using the data and created the hash key, and the hash key can be written as a smart contract into the blockchain. So you're following that path from the field of collection right into the blockchain in a trusted fashion with a trusted ID. So we kind of show a little bit of it here. You see the IoT device itself, and then you see, so this IoT device could be a car, it could be a machine, it could be a robot, but then the cellular module is in the IoT device, and then the IoT applications, and then there's the service stack. Of course, there's sensors, GPS, and other I/O devices, input and output devices, communicating with the module at the same time, right? That's how you're collecting data through the sensors. And then it's sending the data, well, let me go back. And then it's sending the data into a peer service stack. So this is kind of giving you a little bit more on the technology side, exactly how it works. We have white papers if you want to know more. I hope you want to know more. Let me move forward. So China Unicom IoT and ITOS, basically in 2019, by the way, I was not working for the company in 2019, but I was working for another company, and I was partnered with ITOS in 2019. So I was actually in Nanjing and in Shanghai for the Mobile World Congress Shanghai. But basically, both Quictel and Fibercom, these are cellular IoT module vendors. Both of these companies actually created the first 5G blockchain modules and had partnered with us during the Mobile World Congress and during Nanjing China Unicom IoT and blockchain kind of event. I was there. I got invited, and my partner, ITOS, Mr. Leo Lin, was there. We were both there at the same time. We both presented. Life is so strange. A year later, here we are working together in the same company. So that's very interesting. But basically, China Unicom was one of the first companies that we partnered with in order to take our BoAT SDK and put it on their roadmap for utilization inside China and probably outside China as well. We also are a stealth startup company supported by the Wanxiang blockchain organization, which is the largest blockchain organization in China, and they've invested in about 14 different companies. Ours is one of the companies. Our portion in an entire blockchain platform is actually quite minimal. And as you see, we actually are a software that sits in the IoT module, but we're an IoT player and we're a blockchain player, but our portion depends on lots of other players. There is no turnkey out there in the world today to integrate IoT with blockchain. It's always a combination of partnerships. Let me move forward. So as I mentioned, in December 2019 in Nanjing, a Blockchain IoT Module Alliance was founded. Now, as you can see here, there are 9 different companies here. These are, let me go back. These are all Chinese companies that formed a blockchain alliance. So it's a blockchain IoT alliance based on using our BoAT technology. We'd love to invite more Chinese members who want to join, and all of the foreign cellular IoT modules that want to join this alliance. I have reached out and made this welcoming request to almost every cellular IoT module vendor that I know on the planet. We'll see if they jump on board. So as you can see, these are the module vendors that we're currently working with. We will work with all of them eventually. This will become a de facto standard. We are pretty sure about that. Let me move on. China Mobile, China has 3 mobile network operators: China Mobile, China Unicom, and China Telecom. This is China Mobile, and they actually have their own IoT division in Chongqing, China. And we partnered with them to release something called the ML302, which is China Mobile's Cellular IoT Module. And they work with various other partners in China on an OEM basis to build this. Our technology is embedded into their cellular IoT module. So therefore, we are also on the roadmap for China Mobile. I just mentioned China Unicom. Now I'm just mentioned China Mobile. So we're also on their IoT roadmap for IoT integration with blockchain. And so it's a Cat 1 blockchain IoT module with BoAT inside. You can see embedded BoAT application framework, supports Cat 1 IoT devices. China's using narrowband IoT, Cat M, Cat 1. China's using a lot of different solutions. China is the largest IoT market on the planet at this point in time. We are actually also working with China Telecom, but I don't seem to have a slide. I might have a slide later on discussing that. But I wanted to bring your attention to something that happened just about a month ago. A lot of hard work went into this, by the way. So Telefonica technology, Telefonica is Spain's top mobile network operator, one of the top 15 in the world, by the way. We partnered with Telefonica and their module, one of their module partner vendors, which is called Fibercom, which is one of our Cellular IoT Module Alliance partners. We partnered together. These 3 players we call our trifecta achievement, because we've partnered for proof of concept with Telefonica using Fibercom's module, 5G module, and our BoAT inside for their Trust OS. Telefonica has a Trust OS, and one of their components of the Trust OS, one of their modules is called Trust ID. So we've proven the proof of concept, and we're hopefully moving forward to an actual real life application very, very soon with them. But basically, we have partnered with, this is our achievement, to partner with a module vendor, a mobile network operator. Telefonica actually has their own blockchain platform called Trust OS. But we work with everybody, public, private blockchains. We don't really care. Let me move forward. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the data flow. I hope this doesn't get too complex, but if you could see, the first mile of IoT modules, we call that crossing the chasm. So you have a data flow chart here. This data flow chart explains from the edge how IoT actually occurs. It's basically starting by the sensor collecting the data. The sensor is attached to the IoT module. The IoT module takes the data. The IoT module takes the data in the IoT device using our BoAT SDK, and it sends it directly into the cloud, but concurrently. So it sends it into the cloud. That's its normal objective, either 4G or 5G narrowband IoT. It sends the data from the edge into the cloud, but it also actually sends the data into a blockchain gateway, which brings it into a blockchain platform. So you could say that as the data is traditionally going into the cloud and then is pulled or pushed from an application server, an IoT application server, or for IoT usage, right? At the same time, concurrently and directly, we're allowing that data to be attested, an ID given, sent into the blockchain with hash keys so that you can identify the same data to know if there's any degradation of the integrity of the data. Has any of the data been fudged? We will know because IoT, because the blockchain has consensus, immutability, and transparency. So it's really, really cool. The blockchain is like what they call trust, what do they call it? Trustless or touchless. Basically, the blockchain will allow trust to be free. And that's part of our moniker as a company, trust to be free. when you can build trust with consensus and blockchain, you can guarantee that the data has the integrity that you're looking for. So that's how we work it. We bring the data from the edge, we bring it into the cloud, but we also concurrently allow it going to a blockchain gateway, and then from the IoT server, a blockchain platform, whether it's our partner from Wansheng blockchain called Platon, or Telefonica's TrustOS platform, or any other mobile network operator, or any other cloud provider like IBM, Microsoft, Amazon. We can work with all of these platforms. Our product, we're compatible with Hyperledger protocol as well as Ethereum at this point in time. So what are the benefits? Well, you simplify the industry customer to do blockchain applications on the device. That's what we're allowing to occur. Based on current IoT device, it sends the data to the cloud, and at the same time quickly transforms the implementation of the IoT device, sending the data through the hash keys into the blockchain. And the industrial customers, a lot of this is based on industrial IoT, but not just industrial IoT. The industrial customers can thus focus more on how to achieve their business innovation in the industry scenario. We allow the data to be monetized, because when you can trust the data, you can monetize the data. I honestly feel that you can never monetize any data if it can't be trusted, because, and I think this is the big problem with companies like Facebook, companies like Twitter, you cannot trust the data. And so you can't monetize it. And when you can't trust the data and when you can't monetize it, you have companies like Apple saying, well, I don't trust any of these apps, so I definitely need to let the public know that their data is being manipulated, and pushing it back to giving the control back to the creator of the data. This is really the goal of our technology. It should be the goal of every company, which is to give the self-sovereign identity back to the owner of the data. It's really, really very important. Let me move on. I think I've beaten that mantra to death. Let me move on. So devices are readily designed or retrofitted and upgraded into blockchain-ready devices via our BoAT. So that's really what we're doing. We're taking cellular IoT modules, which we didn't manufacture, which are existing in the market all over the world. Probably 400 million of these things every year go into the world. We're allowing the data to be monetized. We're allowing the data to be trusted with integrity. And there are so many different applications that you can see listed here. So our goal is always to deal with the cellular IoT module vendor who get the projects for many of these integration of IoT with blockchain. They get the projects. We want to work with them. We also work with gateway vendors, IoT gateway vendors, blockchain gateway vendors, for things like asset tracking, supply chain management, fleet management, and even infotainment. Believe it or not, you have CCTV cameras capturing video content. So, well, can video content be tampered with? Hell yes. Hell yes, it can. You need to protect video content. You need to protect and authenticate audio content. So actually, the blockchain is going to be the godsend for musicians, for MP3s, MP4s. It's going to be the godsend once somebody figures out exactly how to monetize how this data can be collected. And once it becomes monetized, it is almost like DRM 10 years ago. Everybody wanted to use digital rights management, right, to protect MP3 music. Well, that didn't work so well because it was easy to route or to break or to rip the data, which is music content. And so digital rights management didn't really work that well because it was easy to be corrupted. Our technology is based on tamper-resistant hardware, secure enclaves, secure containers, and it's tamper-resistant technology. Let me move forward. So our proposal with the cellular IoT modules, if any of you are listening to this event, to this discussion today, We want to partner with the Cellular IoT Modules, and we want to develop these blockchain IoT modules for all these mobile network operators and even cloud service providers to support end-to-end encryption and security for IoT and blockchain enablement. So it is all about security. We don't discuss it enough here. We can get into details about how we provide trusted identity authentication, data privacy preserving protection. Those are the two things that we do for the data. And so you can see the IoT devices with our BoAT here and the various use cases, and then the blockchain services that we can provide here. And then those are for all these cool use cases. Now I'm going to start talking about some of these use cases in a very limited scope today, but it's always the first thing that the operator asks, that the module vendor asks, and the service provider asks, the cloud service provider, what's your application? What's your use case? Because there's lots of hype in this industry. We don't provide hype. We're providing actual solutions. Let's jump into it. So in China, electronic vehicle charging stations, we're starting to see them in the United States, California in particular, but even in London and even in every place around the world, you're going to start to see electronic vehicle charging stations. There's a business model to be monopolized. Our technology allows that because, you know, the cellular module is in every connected car, and the T-hub of the car is a cellular IoT module, but also these EV vehicles also have cellular modules, which means that you can apply IoT and blockchain with these charging stations. I mean, there's a charging station 10 minutes from my home where I go to exercise at the exercise center, and I go into the center and I see the charging station, and I come out of the center sometimes very late at night. I don't see any cars there, but I see the lights are illuminating. One day you see lines and lines of people trying to get their vehicles charged. That day is going to come soon. So the technical principles are charging columns, piles. They're equipped with these modules where the charging data is sent to the cloud. So every time you charge your vehicle, all that data, because they can use your vehicle ID to track who you are at this charging station. They're using that and they're sending it into the cloud real time. And the charging order settlement is based on actual facts of when you went to charge your vehicle, how you charged your vehicle, how much money you spent. It's all going to be on the blockchain. So what's the business? What's the business application? Well, the authorities can supervise the company's status based on the on-chain operational data. You can know how successful that charging station is. You can advertise the value of that charging station for passing consumers, which can actually send the data directly into the vehicle, letting them know, hey, you're passing a charging station should you need a charge on your electric vehicle. The stakeholders can share the proposition of profit based on a chain revenue basis. So let's say I want advertising for my electronic vehicle station. I can work with the ecosystem players in order to monetize that so that everybody's making money, allowing more passengers, more electronic vehicle owners to get more data where the heck these electronic vehicles actually are. It's actually a huge business model inside China. And then finally, the investors can assess the value based on on-chain data. So you want to make sure that the data you're collecting is of value and can be monetized. So let's say if I have an electronic vehicle and I want to bring it back to, let's say, Toyota or Tesla, and I want to determine that the vehicle is constantly being charged in a correct manner or fashion so that the service of the vehicle can be performed to a better quality. So all of that data needs to be collected and sent into the cloud and then be attested in a real fashion. That's why IoT and blockchain is needed for these EV charging stations. Let me move forward. How are we doing for time here? All right, we're doing okay. Notice the prowess of my multimedia skills here. So our technology goes into the hub of the vehicle. There you see the hub of the vehicle. And these self-driving vehicles and sharing economy will drive key blockchain use cases to monetize the data. And I just explained to you how that works, but there's actually more to it. So there's a vehicle ID, and then there's your own personal ID based on your smartphone. In case you have a if you have a driver's license when you're driving, obviously you should, right? Then some of your personal self-sovereign identity is going to be based on your driver's license. But your driver's license can be connected to your smartphone, and your smartphone can be connected to the electronic vehicle. And then the vehicle ID can be paired and matched on a temporary basis or on a permanent basis with you, which is very cool. But there's something called the sharing economy as well. This is, I guess they're calling it the insurance economy, but it's really the sharing economy. So let's say I have a fleet management service. Let's say I want to build a fleet management service. Well, how do I do that? Well, first of all, I need to talk to the bank. I need financing. Second, I need to have an Internet of Things company, knowing how to get the Internet of Things data into the cloud. By the way, I need to partner with the car company to make sure that the car has the right technology to comply with my my electronic vehicle charging station. And then there's also lots of integration partners. So there's an insurance company, there's a bank, there's a blockchain network. There's a bunch of players involved in getting this thing to actually happen. Now, the cool thing is, this is starting what we call the sharing economy, but also the enterprise blockchain consortium using the blockchain. So you can't fudge the data. There's consensus with the data. All of these key players are involved in analyzing the data, either manually, partially, or through machines. So the chances of fudging the data are much less and less. Now, it is a kind of important that some organizations do fudge data, or their data is fudged unintentionally by hackers. So it's very, very important that you have the security when you're providing this sharing economy with all these ecosystem stakeholders. Let me move forward. So that's one use case. This is not a pie in the sky. This is actually happening inside China, and it's going to happen in the United States real soon. Now, the next scenario, let me just ask you a question, because I don't think you're going to see too many cows walking around the streets of Shanghai or walking around the streets of Piccadilly, right, in London. But the cows are somewhere, and the cows have value to us because they give us milk and they give us poultry, right? So do cows need to be connected to the internet? Are they really surfing the internet, these cows? Is that true? Well, the cow's data needs to use IoT and the blockchain, because the cow's data can be monetized with value. Let me move forward. So the connected cow still needs blockchain to trust the integrity of the data collected at the edge, where the cow is sitting in the field eating the grass and producing the milk. We have a collar, a cellular IoT collar with GPS as well, around the neck of the cows. I wonder how those cows feel about that. Not a good fashion item, but in general, the cows in Inner Mongolia have these collars around the neck. And it's very important to determine the health of the cows, the quality of the milk of the cows. About a decade ago, when I was working in Beijing, China, there was a milk powder and milk scandal where they were putting all these harsh chemicals. A bunch of young kids died because these milk companies were putting terrible chemicals into the milk, and it caused deaths of people. This is something you want to avoid. The Chinese government is very concerned about that. Hence, this Inner Mongolia dairy cow scenario is operating all over Inner Mongolia in various cow farms. And my company is partnered with the Wansheng blockchain and PlateOn to provide this kind of technology. This has been in operation a few years, by the way. This is not new. So this is another cool use case. Let me move forward. I'll tell you a little bit more about the details. So this is a what you call digitized beef cattle. It's all about animal husbandry. So you've got technical principles, which is the IoT collar, narrowband IoT module in the collar is powered by a battery, a simple battery around the cow's neck. Got to make sure the cow's happy. You know, if they're not happy, they don't give you the best milk, right? The collar collects the cow's biometric and location information. We know where those cows are. They can't run away and have a beer. We know where they are. The collar sends collected data to edge gateways periodically. The edge gateway saves the raw data into the IoT data center. So they're collecting and analyzing the data. Is the cow happy today? They may give it beer like they do in Kobe, Japan, or they may give it classical music to settle the nerves of the cow, you know? But the edge gateway saves the raw data to the IoT data center, and it saves the hash of the raw data to the notary service in a BAS, that's a blockchain as a service. And also there's remote audit and risk control done based on this notarized data. So they're analyzing the data from the cows because, you know, cows are actually a monetizable, they're a monetizable thing when you create a digital twin for every single cow. What are the business applications? Well, cattle digitized via the IoT collar and the blockchain creates a digital twin. And you can capitalize on that digital twin, the data on that digital twin, and monetize it. And then mortgage loans based on these digital twin assets. You can go to the bank and say, well, look, I have Missy, Rosie are my best cattle producers. Here's how much milk they give me every single day. They're my top producers. I call them my cash cows, no pun intended. And you can go to the bank and you can get more loans, more financing to build and expand your cattle operation. So there's a perfect example of digitizing the data for an animal husbandry, connected cow life cycle digitization platform for the blockchain. So that is basically two different use cases utilizing our technology. Real use cases utilizing our technology that are going on inside China. Now, we are a global company. I was hired to bring the company global in 2020. I've been on board about a year and a half now. And this is really cool company doing really cool technology things. You can find me on LinkedIn under Karl J. Weaver. You'll see I also speak, read, and write Chinese. So you'll see my Chinese name there. You'll know it's me. There aren't too many digital twins of Karl yet, hopefully. So please feel free to reach out to me. Now, our company's website, we have a Chinese website, but we also have an English website, which you can find also on LinkedIn. So type in itos.io on LinkedIn and you'll find our website on LinkedIn. But we also publish, typically on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, we publish our press releases. We've got over about 30 of them now on medium.com. So you can go onto medium.com, type itos.io and find about 30 of our press releases on medium.com, free of charge, actually. So there are a few ways that you can communicate with us. My personal email is in the header of this public speaking presentation. And so I think if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm pretty accessible. And if I'm not accessible, my management is anywhere in the world, almost 24/7. So with that, I want to thank all the members of the IoT Slam 2021 organization for inviting me here to discuss this technology. Thank you so much.